Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cameron here.
And Nicole.
We're doing something a little fun for you today. Nicole found some shorter true crime stories.
Yeah, I've just been calling them my shorties.
Couldn't get a full episode out of it, so we decided to put a couple together here for Nicole's shorties.
A little compilation, my little shorties.
What do you got for me?
This one's called the Watseka possession.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it at all?
I don't think so.
Have you ever heard of the place?
I don't
Neither
think so.
have I.
Okay. What
What
state are we talking about?
So we're in Illinois.
Okay. Oh, local story.
Yeah. Watseka, Illinois is a small town, about 3 miles squared, with a population of about 5,000 people. Tiny.
Pretty small town. That's about the town I grew up in.
Watseka lies about 63-ish miles north of Champaign. As you imagine, there's not really much going on in these parts. Small town, middle of nowhere.
Gotcha.
Well, not necessarily middle of nowhere, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
However, that was all about to change in the late 1800s and 1900s.
Late 18s. Okay, so this is an old story.
This is an old.
Is this the American exorcism story of like the only time it was on trial? Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I bet there's a bunch on that.
No. So in the late 1800s and early 1900s, Watseka called national attention, with newspapers across the country debating a series of strange occurrences.
Okay, the whole town.
Mm-hmm. So this all began with 13-year-old Mary Lawrence Venom, whose life became the focus of this fascination. So there isn't a record of her birth or early childhood as expected during this time period, but she first appears in historical record in July of 1887 when she was about 13 years old.
Okay.
So as the story goes, Mary started displaying peculiar behavior where she would suddenly begin to feel ill. She would complain to her mother that she was unable to sleep.
Okay.
Each night she was awakened by the sound of someone or something desperately calling her name, only to find out that no one was there.
Oh, creepy, spooky. Okay.
So to further complicate things, she experienced severe stomach pains, and this is the weird part, and she would enter a trance-like state.
She probably had some severe food allergy or something, you know?
Wait. So in this trance-like state, she would claim to see ghosts floating around her.
Okay. And it wasn't ergot? Okay.
So, well, with all of this happening, as any parent would, they became very concerned about Mary's condition.
Sure.
So now, of course, being from a small town, a word got out, and the town's been talking. So many family members and many others pushed for Mary to be sent to an asylum to undergo treatment.
Sure. I mean, at least it's like we're thinking medically at this point. We're not jumping to crazy shit.
But her family decided to pursue intervention of a different type. Someone who could address these ghosts that allegedly haunted their poor daughter.
Okay.
So, desperate to help their daughter, the Venoms put their faith in renowned spiritualist Dr. E. Winchester Stevens to examine the situation.
Winchester's a fun name.
I know. So, I felt bad for these guys because I was like, well, they probably don't want to put their daughter in an asylum because during that time, you know,
During most, up until recently, I don't think they've been super duper.
No, I mean, what we know historically of how asylums were and how people were treated, terrible. And then, two, I also feel like there'd be shame.
Sure.
Mary would have her episodes, the severe stomach pains. She would enter her trance-like state. Well, during one of Mary's episodes, an entity claiming to be Mary Roth asserted to have control over Mary Venom's body. So I'm just going to call, since it's two Marys, I'm going to do...
Venom and Roth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Took control over Venom's body until Venom's own soul was healed.
Okay, so wait. So another soul, Mary Roth, took over...
Mary Venom's body.
Body to heal her of her mental illness?
So said that she was
Where
claiming...
did this happen? We're not at the mental institution, right? We never got there.
No, so this is still in Watseka, Illinois.
Gotcha.
In the Venom's home.
Okay.
Mary Roth took over her body and asserting that she's claiming her body. So she's going to take over 13-year-old Mary's body.
Okay.
Until 13-year-old Mary Venom's soul is healed.
Well, it's all deal for her, I guess. Then.
Yeah. Mary Roth, so the spirit, also expressed that she would like to reconnect with her family and friends and was adamant on staying with her family, the Roth family.
That's fair.
Right. Here's a little backstory on Mary Roth.
In retrospect, I have heard this story, but I just don't really remember the greater details.
Cool. Let's carry.
Go
on. Mary Roth also suffered unexplained trance-like spells, but this started from infancy. It would baffle doctors because no one could ever find a clear cause of this.
Okay.
Mary also had a belief, so Mary Roth also had a belief that she could communicate with ghosts.
Well, she is one herself, or a former one. That would stand to reason.
Right. Mary also believed in her ability to communicate with ghosts. Her family and medical professionals remained skeptical, and eventually she was confined to an asylum and then passed away in July of 1865.
Oh.
As Mary Venom, so now we're back to present time in this scenario.
Okay.
Just as Mary Venom was going to face the possibility of confinement, news of this eventually reached Mary Roth's parents.
Okay.
They wanted to visit, so they caught wind of this. They basically went to visit the Venom's home just to see if the stories were true, since their daughter, Mary Roth, had experienced similar symptoms about a decade earlier.
Interesting.
Mary Roth's families arrive. Mary is frantic. So due to Mary's frantic reaction upon seeing the Roths demanding to stay with him, the Roths noticed the distress that this was causing the Venoms, and the Roth family evidently agreed to take care of Mary Venom until her condition improved or until she returned back to what would be considered normal.
Okay. Very kind of them,
I would say. So as time passed, Mary Venom's symptoms became increasingly peculiar. So Dr. Stevens and the Cincinnati Enquirer reported that Mary Venom has had like an astonishing ability to recall details of Mary Roth's life, including specific events and people, like you mentioned.
Previous life situation.
For several months, Mary Venom lived as Mary Roth, staying with the Roths and visiting Mary Roth's friends and family, until randomly on May 7th, when Mary Roth promptly announced that Mary Venom's soul was returning back to her body on May 22nd at 11 o'clock.
Oh, well, she kept her promise.
It was oddly specific, yeah. As promised, Mary Venom soon returned to her body that day. When she returned, she presumed life as normal, happy and healthy, doesn't appear to have a comeback of her strange behavior.
Did she remember that time that she was Mary Roth, or is it just
From what I read, no.
Okay.
So no recollection.
Okay.
Dr. Stevens' account of this quote-unquote possession showed Mary Roth's ability to take over Mary Venom's body at will. Supposedly, Mary Roth was even able to take over bodies of others. They mentioned something that there was like a Dr. Steele there, and she was able to possess his or her body.
Interesting.
And yeah, and like to show this, she would make a show, like just showing like, hey, look at what I can do.
All right.
Yeah. So we're left to wonder what could have even caused the events here at Watseka. Was Mary Venom just the victim of a temporary psychological condition?
Likely.
Or do you think supernatural elements were at play?
I mean, the downer in me would assume that she got wind of this Mary Roth, the family, a girl dying, and was having some sort of psychotic break. If we want to get fun with it, though, I mean, I guess we could see. I mean, this isn't really like a...
this is like a for real shorty. There isn't like much to it just because it's the late 1800s, 1900s. So it's whatever.
Research, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not reincarnation because it's not like it's just like a soul from heaven or the sky coming down, doing some angelly work to heal her. Mm-hmm. And then a specific day when she's done with the charade deciding.
I just thought it was interesting that they claimed that she was I don't want to say a body snatcher, but essentially Mary Roth was able to hop from one body to another, which is interesting.
I wish there was more accounts. It would be interesting to see into that because, I mean, if there are accounts of doctors claiming that this happened as well, that's interesting.
I mean, it happened to one doctor, Dr. Steele, which she took over.
Yeah, but doctors at that time were also shysters, so.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so a little fun fact about this. So if anyone has any further interest in this case, this story actually inspired a quote-unquote documentary called The Possessed. Found out.
Have we seen this? Maybe that's why I'm familiar about this.
I think we might have seen it because it came out in 2009, so it's relatively new-ish.
It was a while ago.
I know, but it's. I'm saying new-ish, like it's
Sure.
the 2000s. I guess
That's a 23-year gap.
I'm old. But anyways, it's not on Amazon Prime. It used to be, I guess, at some point. But if you want to check out Tubi, you can find it on Tubi. I looked it up. It's there.
Well, that was a fun little short. We got another mystery coming your way, and I'm being told it is the case of the airtight bridge.
In Coles County.
In Coles County. This isn't familiar to me at all, so this is going to be fun. I usually at least...
I know, usually you have you dabble into like a little bit of everything, so I'm actually pretty surprised you
this one doesn't sound familiar at all, so take it away. Let me know about the airtight bridge.
Okay, so I'm going to go into a little background of where this bridge is located. It's basically in the middle of nowhere. Well, not really in the middle of nowhere, but I don't think you're going to be really familiar with the area.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to whip out a little Google, you can go ahead and take a gander with me. So the airtight bridge, it's basically a steel truss bridge that was built in 1914, spanning about 8 miles north of Charleston, Illinois.
Okay.
It was like once a place where like kids could just come, hang out, drink, party, jump in the river.
Okay, so this is a party bridge. This isn't a...
Kind of, yeah.
So we're not talking a high traffic situation.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a high traffic...
A rural swimming hole bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where local youths can go, have a couple drinks, be a little reckless, have a little fun.
Okay. I'm having a little fun.
Yeah. With your little beverage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically that's what this bridge is known for.
Okay.
All changes one day in 1980.
1980. Okay.
Okay. So where...
Jeans were whitewashed and tight. Hair was feathered.
I cannot. Yes, basically. So according to reports, there were 2 fishermen driving past the bridge, looked down.
Driving past or like boating past under?
No, like driving past the bridge to go to a fishing spot, from
Copy.
what I've gathered. Spotted what looked like the body of a naked woman.
Okay. In the water.
In the water.
Okay.
But the fishermen from the rural, they're from rural Urbana. They were driving past. They spotted what looked like the body of a nude woman about 50 feet from the bridge. Of course, like any nosy person would, they get a little
stick and go poke the body.
Yeah. No,
Right?
but upon closer inspection, they noticed, yes, this woman was naked, but she was missing her head. She was missing her.
That's something you noticed right away.
She was missing her hands, and she was also missing her feet.
That's quite a... Okay, so all the ends.
Basically all the ends.
Missing all the appendage ends.
Yeah. So once they discovered that, much like any normal person would, they called the police right away.
Mm-hmm.
And within 20 minutes, a whole investigation takes place.
Well, when you find a body in the water.
Yeah. So this was like a big ordeal. They had... Police had scuba divers searching. They were dredging the river. Nothing was found.
Okay.
Nothing.
So it's probably seeming like this happened somewhere else and then the body was dumped if we're not finding the pieces, is the guess, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So the case goes cold and they can't find out who this woman is, what her name is. So of course she's given the name Jane Doe.
Oh, I guess that didn't even cross my mind that I guess she wouldn't have dental records or fingerprints or anything really identifiable.
No. So this is where they kind of go into how the police officers tried to describe the woman when they were trying to make a missing, like a missing person's profile, essentially, or not. What do they call it? Like
the sketch kind of thing? Or
yeah, kind of. So I'm not a huge fan of how they did the description.
Her left boob. Kind of?
Let me get to it.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate.
So it's an eye roller, at least for me. So she was described as being in her 20s. She was rather flat-chested.
Okay.
Not in the habit of shaving.
Okay.
Really unnecessary.
Well, I mean, with not much to identify, you'd hope it'd be moles and birthmarks.
You think there would be more to it, right?
Yeah.
So they estimate her height about 5'9", and then her weight, give or take, about 130 pounds. with dark auburn hair. And then I'm assuming this was pointed together because
she was unshaven.
She was unshaven. I was going to say unclean, but that's not
well,
necessarily fake. I know, but
she's passed on, for God's sake. Leave her alone, Nicole.
Anyways, it was later determined that her blood type was A positive, which is very uncommon.
Okay.
You don't know your blood type.
No, I don't know blood type. I just have to take your word on that piece of information. What's my blood type?
I think you're an A negative.
Cool. I know your blood type. I just don't know mine.
You don't know is it positive or negative?
Who can say?
I can.
A positive.
Yeah.
I'm positive that I'm a positive person.
It's positive.
Cool.
So after an extensive investigation, no killer was to be found. The identity of Jane Doe remained a mystery for years. And then, of course, the case went cold.
Oh.
Approximately about a year after her body was found, Jane Doe was laid to rest in Charleston Mound Cemetery.
Okay. And we're in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is all taking place in Illinois.
Okay.
Then we fast forward to about 1992, about 12 years later.
Mm-hmm.
There was finally a break in the case.
Okay.
So investigators were able to use DNA analysis to reveal the woman's identity.
Let me guess, 23andMe. We're doing one of the genealogies.
Well, I mean, this is 1992.
Touche. Never mind. That's just how we catch everybody now.
So, anyways, it turns out that Jane Doe was actually 26-year-old Diane Marie, if I mispronounce it, sorry, Riordan Small.
Mm-hmm.
She's a resident of Bradley, Illinois, and she disappeared from her home a short time before her remains were found about 100 miles away in Cole County.
Okay, pretty far away.
Yeah. So now the reason why no one was able to find out who she was until about 12 years later was because Diane was actually never reported missing.
Bad home life, I'm guessing.
So her husband told police that he was not at all concerned because Diane had left home on occasions before.
Okay.
Little sus to me.
Yeah, he's definitely, I mean, usually the spouse is number one suspect anyway, but not reporting is not good.
Right. And then on top of that, her biological family is just scattered all throughout Illinois. So it wasn't, they didn't even know she was missing. Yeah, nobody knew she was missing until like years later.
That's sad.
It's super sad. And then I also did a little bit more research too. When she went missing, she also had a 2-year-old daughter with this man.
Oh.
Like this man, her husband.
Okay.
So it's like, I feel like there would just be more
reason to want her back.
Yeah, or more reason to be like, hey, where's your wife?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, then in October of 2008, Jane Doe's headstone was finally replaced with one bearing her name. So that was kind of nice, but it still sucks that it took like 12 years. Yeah. Now, we're going to fast forward.
I guess it's more of a rewind, but
kind of. But March 2nd, 2017.
Okay, we're getting real recent now.
Yep. So about 37 years after her death, Diane's husband, which we all would have suspected this in the beginning, Thomas A. Small, confessed and he was arrested. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of his confession.
Okay.
So on October 15th of 1980, there was apparently an argument that took place. Couldn't tell you what the hell the argument was about. But anyway,
shells or noodles if we're mac and cheese, you
know? Maybe. So anyways, the argument took place in the couple's home in Bradley. The argument then escalated. Now it escalated to the point where Thomas grabbed a coal poker.
Okay.
And hit Diane in the head more than once with it.
One's gonna kill you probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't say how many times, but more than once.
Okay.
And then after that, he threw the weapon, which was this coal poker, into a quarry. They said the name of the quarry was Bird Park Quarry.
Nearby?
So I Googled it. It's about 2.5 miles from Bradley.
Okay.
So not too far.
No. Maybe something you would think to dredge up. Yeah. If suspicious of him. But I mean, I guess, I don't know.
So shortly after this confession, they sent divers to search this quarry. No luck.
Okay, are we about to find some head or feet, though?
Listen to this.
Okay.
Thomas then said that he placed his wife's body in a blanket and then hid her in the attic.
After the initial hit?
After the initial hit. So
okay.
Dumped the weapon in the quarry. Goes home. Wrapped her up in a blanket. Yeah, wrapped her up in a blanket. Threw her in the attic.
Okay.
Classic.
Is it classic?
I don't know. But like, I feel like you could be a little bit more creative, you know? Anyways, as expected, the body's going to stink. So it ended up starting to smell rank 2 days later.
Okay.
Her body was decomposing, obviously. So then he decided to move her body to his car and just drive south on US 45. Okay. No destination, no idea where the hell this is going. So this guy ends up driving about 100 miles away. Mm-hmm. He said he stopped at Empress in Downstate's Coles County, where I don't know how he was able to pull this off, but he pulled over, cut off her head, her feet, her hands, and then threw her torso into the river.
He did all this on the side next to the bridge, or this was en route still? He did this just on the side of the road.
So it seems like he stopped nearby in downstate Coles County and just did this.
Okay. That's something you want to do at home, I think. Maybe in the attic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe with some wow. Very brazen. Very bold. Yeah. When I cut your head off, I'll just do it here in the basement.
Please. Thank you.
Cement floors, easy clean.
Yeah. So shortly after she was killed, actually one of Diane's, she has 7 siblings. So one of her 7 siblings reported her missing to to Bradley police. Now listen to this. So you know how we said Thomas was questioned and then it was never like put in a missing persons report.
Right.
So anyways, he told the officer that she had packed her things and left when he was questioned. And obviously this is something that Diane has done before. Mm-hmm. So he did not ask that his wife's info be placed into the nationwide database of missing persons.
That should always be called into question. Unless the police see the person or like, oh, this was a mistake. They're right here and it's easily explained in front of you.
I know. So now we're going into February of 1992. So this is about 12 years later.
Okay.
So this is when another sibling of Diane also reported her missing to Bradley police. I don't know why it's taken 12 years, but here we are. Mm-hmm. So this time her description was finally entered into the nationwide database. And guess what? Ding, ding, ding. We got a match.
Okay.
So she matches the description of this Jane Doe that was posted by Coles County Police in 1980.
My sister was flat-chested and has a bush. That could be, what's her name? Diane.
I'm just floored by this. So it was posted by Coles County Police in 1980. Mm-hmm. From there, they absolutely wasted no time, right? So they obtained DNA samples from Diane's parents, and that's what was used by Illinois State Police to finally ID her body.
Okay.
So Thomas A. Small was 71 years old when he was arrested and convicted of first-degree murder of his wife.
Quite a while later.
A long time. So he was sentenced for... And this is kind of surprised me. He was only sentenced for 30 years of prison.
I just don't get our justice system in this. Like, there'll be a murder that like, oh, I served 8 years and then got out at 7 kind of stuff. But
I was really confused by that. And I was like, okay, he's old, but still only 30 years. Anyways, he was sentenced for first-degree murder of his wife. 30 years in prison on March 2nd of 2017.
Okay.
Now, I was doing a little bit more research, and people feel... Maybe it's just the whole, like, finding a dead body, near the bridge. But there's been a few paranormal, like, investigations. Because there's just, like, it's just very, like, eerie, odd stillness. Not many people party there anymore.
Time out. Are you telling me this is also a ghosty story?
Not necessarily a ghosty story, because I didn't dive into it, but I figured you would like to know that,
Oh, guess who's going to do a little looking into this airtight bridge? That's more my cup of tea.
But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. That's the end of it. So the case went cold, and there wasn't a break in the case until about 37 years later, literally.
Glad it did come to a conclusion, though. I mean, pretty harsh description of the body, but glad at the end
it's pretty extreme. It's just his confession is just what floored me. He's just like, yeah, I got into an argument with my wife, grabbed the coal poker, whacked her more than once, wrapped her up in a blanket, threw her in the attic. She started to stink after 2 days later, so I was like, let me just drive down US 40 and see what comes to me.
I feel bad for the child. I'd like kind of know what happened there. Also, like, you just couldn't do that with today's technology. Now, if you went missing, there'd be too many reports. And number two, they'd be like, Cameron, we noticed that you also drove 100 miles by your like phone
Cameron,
GPS.
we know you don't leave the house.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty quick to find out that I did it, you know? They don't know me.
Yeah, but it's a shorty, but I thought it was pretty interesting.
It's a fun little short mystery.
Yeah, it was just a case that went cold. Finally got more information, and it was the husband all along. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. All right, I believe you have one more shorty for us today.
I do.
All right, what do you got?
So this one's called the Glico Morianga case. I could be pronouncing it wrong.
The Glico Moriano case?
Morianga.
That's even more fun. Okay, what is this?
So this was really fun to like read. It kind of reminded me of a True Detective episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sad. Real. Gritty.
Sad and also just like, what the fuck?
Okay, can't wait.
So it deals with the Japanese company Izaki Glico, which is best known for its Pocky snacks. Do you remember the Pocky snacks?
No, not really. What are those?
So they're those little sticks that come in like the little pack, and they have like strawberry, they have the cookies and cream, they have like chocolate, matcha, a bunch of other different flavors. Okay. And then it also involves another global confectionery company, well known in Japan, called Morinaga. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, if I'm mispronouncing it, sorry. So in 1984, two armed men in masks broke into the CEO Kashuga Izaki's mother's home and bound her, taking the house key of Glico's CEO.
Okay.
Entering his house, they also tied up his wife and his daughter. Mrs. Izaki attempted to negotiate money with the men, but they were after something else.
We should get a panic room.
I don't think anyone's gonna go to this extent for us.
But you plan ahead, man.
Okay. So they cut off the telephone cords. They raided the bathroom. This is where Izaki and his other two children were hiding. So they abducted Izaki and then held him hostage at a warehouse. Then they issued a ransom for 1 billion yen, which is about $9 million today.
Okay.
And they also wanted 220 pounds of gold bars.
I think we should also diversify and get some precious metals. Not that I'm siding with these kidnappers, but
they're coming up with some pretty good ideas.
Good request.
So 3 days after kidnapping, Izaki managed to escape before the company had to pay his ransom. But unfortunately for this man, his torment just begun.
But you said he's free though. He escaped. How did he escape?
So they didn't really say how he escaped, but they said that 3 days later he just managed to escape before his company paid the ransom of $9 million and then 220 pounds of gold bars.
Okay, well, cool for them.
So a few weeks later, just when the company thought it had escaped extortion, 6 vehicles at the Glico factory parking lot were set on fire.
Okay.
Then a container with hydrochloric acid and a threatening letter addressed to the Glico were found in Ibaraki, where the warehouse was located.
Okay, what's the letter say?
The letters were quickly published in the newspapers, and this was on April 8th of 1984. The letter states, "To the police fools, are you all stupid? What the hell are you doing with all that manpower?" They threw in clues like the color of their car, which was gray, and then where they bought their food, which was a well-known supermarket, which is called Dai Supermarket. Okay. It's a large chain, and they thought this was enough information to be given to possibly catch them.
Well, I guess first question, you get a lot of crazies writing in any large, public scenario. Is this a real, are these the real ransom people?
So then they finished the letter with a threat saying, "Shall we kidnap the head of the prefectural police too?"
Yeah, do it. Dare you.
So now this began a string of letters from a person or a possible group that called itself the Monster with 21 Faces.
Okay. Are there 21 people in this group?
So wait. So they named themselves after a villain in a novel. I did some research and it said it was the Edogawa Rampo's 1963 novel titled The Fiend with 20 Faces. So it's a Japanese detective series that has like a shape-shifting thief.
Oh, they have 21 faces. They have one more face. Mm-hmm. They're even better.
I think so. But anyways, neither that or the clues that they offered helped police track them down. The letters threatened the company's products, stating that they placed several packs of cyanide-laced Glico candy in store shelves.
Okay, well, not going to do that.
Following the May 1984 letter, panic erupted and Glico was forced to pull products off the shelves, resulting in a $130 million loss and a layoff of about 1,000 part-time workers.
Shit. Okay, how much were they asking again in the ransom?
So in the ransom, they were asking for about $9 million
Ooh,
today.
should have done the ransom.
And
Should have
then
just
also
paid.
220 pounds of gold bars.
What's that related? That I mean, that's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold, but I don't know. I would say that this
Does
is
it
a
calculate
bigger.
up to 100 million plus?
I would say this is a bigger loss, but
Okay.
again, I'm not smart, so.
You're a genius.
Sadly, the police never found the evidence that the monster of 21 faces had poisoned any Glico candy.
Okay. Oh, I thought they were asking the company to do that as part of like a further ransom. I got you. They were just threatening to do
They were threatening. They
Okay.
claimed that they did. They placed several packs of cyanide-laced Glico candy on stored shelves, but they didn't specify which store, so that caused them to pull a bunch of product off of shelves.
I got
Since
you.
they lost so much money, then they had to do a bunch of layoffs.
Okay.
Shitty. After months of tormenting Glico, the monster with 21 faces decided to look for some fun someplace else. By that June, the strange gang or person seemed ready to abandon Glico and then sent the following letter. So this letter is just insane. So the letter states, the president of Glico has already gone around with his head hanging down long enough. In our group, there's also a 4-year-old kid. Every day he cries for Glico. It's a drag to make a kid cry because he's deprived of the candy he loves. We forgive Glico. In the group, there's a 4-year-old child and he loves Glico. So he cries about.
Oh, okay. So you're saying now that the candy's gone, they're okay. They're just
So
hearing
now,
about-
so now they're forgiving Glico because it makes this 4-year-old sad.
Okay, cool. Or
just
anyone
so-
could have written that just to be like, get it back.
so bizarre. So Japanese candy lovers may have breathed a sigh of relief, but the monster with 21 faces hadn't given up. Instead, they focused on another company. In September of 1984.
Okay, come on. Wasn't there beef like specifically with them just because they didn't pay? So now they're just picking a new ransom
Yeah,
target.
exactly.
Okay.
So this is another well-known confectionery company that I mentioned in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So in September of 1984, the Moringa part of Glico, Moringa, case began when the monster with 21 faces demanded money from the Moringa candy company. Now, when Moringa refused to comply, they sent out another threatening letter in October.
Okay. Why are they specifically going after candy companies? Just go after any other.
There's really...
If one candy company pulling things is causing that 4-year-old to cry, I bet this one might too. Change up your strategy.
You would think. The letter in October states, we added some special flavor. The flavor of potassium cyanide is a little bitter. We left 20 boxes in stores from Hataka to Tokyo filled with cyanide-laced candies. But don't worry, we left a note in the boxes.
Okay. Did they?
Sure enough, police found the boxes of poison candy with a sticker affixed to them that read, danger contains poison. You'll die if you eat this. Signed, the mystery man with 21 faces.
Okay, so it's one man, possibly not an organization.
Right.
But you're
So
judging on that.
but they just don't know. Anyways, they didn't stop there. They also targeted another company, Medora Ham. It's a house foods corporation, and Fungia.
I'll accept either of those.
Fujiya. In exchange of stopping their harassment towards the company, one of its employees was to hand them ransom money on a train.
Okay. So they're paying up. They're the first people
They're
to be
the
like,
first company to pay out. Yeah.
Okay.
That was when an investigator who disguised himself as an employee saw the prime suspect known as the Fox-Eyed Man.
I thought he was the man with 21 faces.
He was describing the man.
Okay.
So he was described as well built. His hair was cut short and permed with eyes like those of a fox. After dropping the ransom as instructed, he and another investigator attempted to follow the Fox-Eyed Man, only to lose him. They would also get a second chance later on, but again, Fox-Eyed Man evaded him.
Have more people around. Have the exits
isn't
blocked.
it wild?
Yeah, you had a lot of opportunity. So 2 more people paid out, essentially?
Essentially, yeah. Like it's one more company that paid out.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, technically this one and then, so 2 companies paid out. So this one and then Fuji.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Save yourself the...
Okay. The embarrassment. After continuing harassment towards the police, a year later, the superintendent Yamamoto committed suicide by setting himself on fire as he was ashamed of his failure to capture the fox-eyed man. 5 days following the death, the monster with 21 faces sent its final letter to the media. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Yamamoto of Shinga Prefecture Police died. How stupid of him. We have no friends or a secret hiding place in Shiga. It's Yoshino or Shikata who should have died. What they have been doing for as long as 1 year and 5 months. Don't let bad guys like us get away with it. There are many more fools who want to copy us. No career, Yamamoto died like a man. So we decided to give our condolence. We decided to forget about torturing food-making companies. If anyone blackmails any of the food-making companies, it's not us, but someone copying us. We are bad guys. That means we've got more to do than bullying companies. It's fun to lead a bad man's life. Signed, the monster with 21 faces. And with that final statement, the monster with 21 faces disappeared, never to be heard from again.
It sounds like an anime.
Isn't it crazy, though?
It sounds like a series, and I would watch that series. In fact, has there been anything made about this?
I don't know, to be quite honest. But when I read this, I was like, this is not real.
That had some nutty twists in it.
It's real.
Well, that was a good one to finish on.
Right?
I like that one. I mean, it's sad. I mean, that guy...
Yeah, it's sad because a man did kill himself because he was just ashamed of his failures. But it's just wild.
Even the 21 faces are like, it's not your fault, bro.
Yeah, not great. But... They got some money out of it, and they never got caught. They never got caught.
And they never technically harmed anybody.
No.
Well, I mean, financially, but
yeah, financially they screwed a lot of people over. But yeah, isn't that wild?
That's a crazy one.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully one of these stories today piqued your interest. But if you like what you heard, make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate and review. This is my full-time gig right now, so we'll take all the support we'll take all the support we can get. Make sure you tell your friends and family to join I'm Not Crazy in the Majestic Jam Network. Make sure you can check out Urban Hermit, Cult Classics Podcast, the Highwire Podcast. And until then, we'll check you on the next one.
Bye. Bye.